All right, so we can open up for questions. If anybody has questions from the audience.
I have a question. I'm not a big, I'm 52, and I'm not really that technology savvy. I have small children. I have 2 younger boys that every time I pick them up on the weekends, they've got some new game, this and that. I mean, that's where you guys are developing. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, could be.
It could be.
I hope so. For example, like your upcoming event, I mean, if I brought my kids there.
Yes, bring them.
Could I?
Yes, bring the children. Bring the children. There will be funny-looking people there that we're, entertaining.
They all have it in their school.
Yeah,
That's the viral effect I was talking about.
Game, and it's always something they're doing. But I would like. They kind of don't know what they want to do. The oldest is 16, the youngest 13.
So that's great. Like I would tell them, I would tell you, bring the kids and bring all their friends as well. And that event, actually, there's a workshop on how to make games. So if the kids don't even know what they want to do, they know they love playing games. You never know. They'll go and they'll see all these developers, and they can even talk to them and ask them what goes into making a game. They could go and sit in the workshop and actually learn how to build one. And what are the questions to ask? What are the things to think about? And then, if they want to dress up like video game characters, they can do that too. It's going to be a fun event, and yeah, it's totally family friendly.
Those workshops going to be great.
The what?
Workshops? Get those workshops?
No.
We also, our house just had a good friend of ours who contacted us after seeing us at an art show. His son's really interested in game design, and he wanted to know if he could bring his son out to the studio and just kind of walk around and see what we do and kind of learn about what it takes to develop a game and what we do on a daily basis. And he brought his son by the shop, and he just sat down with us for a while, and our coders sat down with him for a little bit and kind of showed him what we were doing within Unity and how we develop games and how the process kind of goes. And I don't remember how old he was now. He was 6? Yeah, and he was really excited. He was pumped about it. He loved every minute of it. So
he just got signed up to beta test our game, and he found some great bugs. I mean, he was a great tester.
yeah, kids are the best game testers.
You never know who you might, help or touch in their life when they see these games, because that's what kind of made us all do it at one
They
point.
never put their phones down.
Yeah.
It's the digital age now.
Yeah.
We go on vacation, take a road trip, and I'm like, hey, look at this.
Yeah. Well, coming to an event like that, outside of just enjoying playing the game, when they hear it from the people that are making it, that becomes a little bit of a lasting memory. I remember talking to that developer. He told me this. And then even, with us being older, I don't know, sometimes I think some of the experiences I have outside of actually developing games will then trickle into while we're making the games. Because we're making games about stories or special things, well, those are from experiences in our life, and then maybe we can relay that to the kids. That's why it's important to think about all these different things. So maybe that can carry on with your kids. We'll tell them, play the games, but also look around when your dad points at things too.
Yeah.
I'm relatively new to Orlando, and definitely, newer to the actual professional side of the indie gaming scene. And the first Indie-Nomicon that I went to at the Melrose Center, I had already been working at my company for a couple of months. And I don't know what I expected when I walked in, but there were a ton of people who brought their kids. And when it came time for, part of every Indie-Nomicon is the developers present. And there were kids sitting right up front with all the rest of us who were actually in the industry asking developers better questions than we were. They are so much better at, looking at that thing going, I don't really think that's going to work. I think this is, you could have done this way, you suck. I'm always amazed at how in tune kids are with games. And when I was running the table, I had a teacher walk up to me, and she just had questions about DRM-free games. And she said, if I had a parent and, buy a subscription to IndieBox for my classroom, could I then put that game on all the computers? And I'm like, yeah, totally. And they're like, well, would you come out and talk? I'm like, absolutely. I would love that. That would be amazing. And so I remember being a kid and having, I wanted to either be an astronaut or run a museum, or I wanted to work in video games. Those are my 3 career paths. They make no sense together. So I got one of them. But it's this community is so proactive, and we all have those memories of wanting to do this when we were a kid, and a lot of us are pinching ourselves, like, is this really what my job is right now? Like, seriously? Okay. I mean, I got paid to play pinball this weekend, like, seriously. So, the community aspect of it, and the kids are really involved. And so if there's ever, anyone here who has a kid who's interested, go grab my card, email me. I will, sit down and talk to them, introduce them to some devs. We're all really open, and we love talking to people. We love talking to ourselves.
Hey, the event that's coming up, do you have a website that you can go to?
Yeah, so go to Indienomicon, so it's INDIENOMICON.com.
That's going to be December 6th.
Yeah, December 6th. It's a Saturday, and that's at the Melrose Center, and it's 12 to 5.
It's
Yeah.
upstairs in the library downtown. Yeah.
You got it? Thank you.
I have a question. You guys design games, I guess, from scratch.
Yes.
How do you feel? People like me, I can't program, but I recently found the game creators business, and you download the program. You can buy graphic packages, build worlds, and what this item is going to do when you walk up to it. How do you guys feel about that?
Stuff like that is like a fantastic way to get started.
So you guys aren't against?
No,
if anything,
there's a lot of games that there's things like Game Maker, right? Like that's maybe one of the things you're talking about.
Yeah,
so,
sorry,
like Hotline Miami is a great game that was made entirely in Game Maker. There's a lot you can do with stuff like that. You should never feel like the tools you're using don't really give you as much credibility. There's people that might have that attitude, but
That's why I feel if I build something, people are going to say, "Oh, you're just using this program."
at the end of the day, it doesn't. That's one thing that you come to learn about the games industry, like or making games in general. It doesn't really matter how you did it. If it works and it's fun and it's not horribly broken, then what does it matter? A game is a game. You can make a game out of like paper cards, however you do it. If it's fun, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, if you're just designing a game, honestly, if you're buying stuff just to, to get it to look a certain way or whatever, if the idea is fun and people like it and they want to play it, people will throw money at you, and then you can make better graphics and hire people to do it for you. That's usually the way it works.
No two programmers build a game the same way anyways.
Yep.
Everybody writes their own code in their own different way. So just because we write maybe the same game, you could look at our code and it'll be a completely different game anyway.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of ways to
build
skin
your
the cat.
game.
Yeah, just design it to be fun. That's the best thing I can ever say. Just make a fun game, and then the rest will fall into place if it's a fun game. Simple as that.
And one of the nice things that the Game Maker does as well, as opposed to coding from scratch, is that, especially if you go through the tutorials and everything, it teaches you the things that you need to do to design a game. It's not just here's how to get a guy to jump and run and collect a thing. It sets up, it's like we need to have trigger events. You need to be able to determine like when a power-up works and how long it works and what the effect is, and so it gives. And I usually recommend that when when we have younger folks asking like, how do I get into this? How do I get started? It's like start here. You learn the basics. If you go from there and learn how to do coding from scratch, great. And I know you can add on bits and pieces. It's like, but you need that basic information anyway just to create a game. And from there, if you want to take it further, you can. But yeah, as mentioned, there are lots of commercial games out there that use Game Maker or RPG Maker, and they're published commercial products.
And one other thing I just wanted to add to that, so I'm going to kind of step into the camera frame. There's actually a developer we know locally in the area who comes out to Indienomicon, and we all know him. His name's Jay. Who actually it's probably I think it's fair to say probably one of the few geniuses that I know. I really think he's a genius. Like it's crazy talking to him.
He's definitely a savant type character.
Yeah.
I've talked to him a number of times.
But I got in a long conversation to him once about how he developed this game, because I'm not a game developer. I just know all these guys, and I just think it's phenomenal what they do.
Yes.
He was showing me some of the stuff he developed, and he actually developed like the backgrounds and the characters like on Microsoft Paint or something like that.
He drew the whole thing
And
by
he's showing
hand in MS Paint.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know by looking at it. I mean, it's phenomenal.
It's beautiful.
He totally fooled me, and I thought it was like a couple of different pixel programs. I was naming them, and then he just gave me a blank look. He's like, "No, I just drew it in MS Paint." I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Wow.
And it's an outrageous game. I mean, just the artwork and stuff like that.
Yeah, Jay couldn't be here, but he does like live streams when he's doing the pixel artwork, and he's still like, I will see him use a more commercial program right now.
Yeah.
And then when he can't do something in a commercial program he wants, he just opens his MS Paint and starts drawing it. And I'm like, stop doing that, man. Use the commercial stuff.
Yeah, and I think one of those things where you say like God is in the details. Like he'll talk about his fences, like the fences that he painted, like this fence here, and that's why it looks like this. And I mean, literally the conversations I've gotten in like hour-long conversations about how he painted a fence. It's just like, but it's like you want to listen because all these developers have such interesting stories about how they do the things that they do. It's just incredible. Yeah.
I got a conversation with Jay one time about how he animated the butt cheek to wiggle a certain way when he walked around. I'm not even kidding about that.
That sounds a lot like Jay.
That is Jay. It's Jay, man. He's crazy. Love the kid though.
All right, any other questions?
How do you all feel about Let's Plays video games? Because I know some developers think that like, it ruins the experience.
Yes, please.
Those
do it.
people are tough. Yeah.
The more unboxings, the better.
The more people that see the game, the more people will talk about it, more people will play it, and that's all we want.
More exposure.
We just want people to buy our games at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And speaking of, from the marketing standpoint, you also need to be clear about that when you're sending out Steam keys or beta access and things like that. Just put right in the message. Please feel free to stream this game because YouTube is getting tougher and tougher on.
It really is. I'm doing that right now. Like I've like from months ago, I emailed hundreds of people. Now, like the 100 people that told me I'll look at your game went down to 25, and out of the 25, only 10 of them have shown me videos. And of those 10, only 3 of them have been honest, real reviews. The other ones have been just more gimmicky YouTube, let me earn money type of things, where they're basically breaking the iPad with my game on it. Like,
In case no one heard it, the question was whether or not the beard has improved his life and whether it has improved his gaming developer skills.
Well, he's definitely sexier.
It's nice to have some outside confirmation.
Wait, it's called lumber sexual.
All right, that's all on Twitter.
It's a conversation.
Please tag Indie Box.
I like to think that it helps game design. It's nice to be able to like do this, you know? Like, are you thinking about something? Like, you just want to, like, grasping at straws, the phrase? It's kind of like grasping a beard. Sometimes something.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm just expecting you to show up and be like, let's go on an adventure. You're a wizard.
See, and you know that I'm an adventurous guy without even having to talk to me.
Just gonna come up, be like, look, you're a hobbit, I'm a wizard, let's go.
That's the look I'm going for is young wizard. Yeah, preparing.
Another touch to round there.
Yep, if game design doesn't work out, I can always sit on a hilltop and advise villagers.
There you go. Nice age.
Probably some money in that is not money, I think it's props. That's my plan. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure.
Anything else from the crowd?
Yeah.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, Liv, I'm going to hand it over to you.
So I just wanted to thank all of you. It looks like almost everyone in the room I've talked to at some point. I see a couple of you who I haven't. But thank you for coming out and supporting your local indie game dev. If you're not from Orlando, we exist in your hometown, I guarantee you. Just Google like hometown indie game developer. Find where they meet up. If you're interested in this kind of thing, they're going to meet up somewhere around you. My company's main goal, over and above everything else, is that we want to support indie developers. A lot of people who have stopped by, the table said, the reason I don't play indie games is because I have never heard of them. I don't even know where to go to look for them. They're only able to really find the ones that might be on Steam. We're a sort of a discovery service for them, and a lot of them signed up for that, but there are places online that you can find them. There's Indie Game Mag, there's, the Indie Database that, they have ratings and scores. There's ways to find indie devs, there's ways to find indie games, and I guarantee you, if you've ever dreamt of it, there's an indie game out there to fill that need for that game in your heart. And if there isn't, you can build it yourself. So if you ever have any questions or need anything, all of us up here will be around after the panel if anyone has any specific questions. I'm assuming, apparently I have a beer to catch. But if that's it, thank
Thanks for what you're talking about.
Okay, right, yeah. I have an expensive portfolio. But thank you guys so much for coming out, and you're awesome.